Right, so after what was otherwise a random chain of events that involved my internet just cutting out randomly. Because, you know, when you want to cover JoJo and God just says, nah bro, not happening today. So, anyway, yeah, we actually have returned, hopefully this time, to actually cover JoJo Play Jojolion Chapter 99. And as we know, 98, holy shit, JoJo's getting intense. Like, bruh, it's getting a JoJo's Part 7's level intense. I'm like, bruh. Essentially, beforehand, fights were like, bruh, you ain't shit, and then punch each other. Stands come out, punch each other, and then sometimes it'd be like, bruh, it's more to this than just that. But Part 8's just kind of like, bruh, you ain't shit, and then it's like, bruh, and then it's just like, it's more getting ahead of the antagonist. I actually kind of like it a lot more now, because it's not the usual JoJo level of JoJo. It's actually kind of like a vibe check kind of fight instead. It actually works a lot better, to be honest. It works to actually kind of differentiate itself from the actual other parts, and actually kind of carve out a very interesting overall, like, kind of in a way catharsis to JoJo, if you kind of think about it in a way. So yeah, I mean, we kind of ended on the Head Doctor versus Josuke versus Momosuke Rai, who literally was in the corner going, what the fuck is happening? It's just, Momosuke Rai is basically us the whole entire time. I'm like, yeah, I kind of feel that. I feel that. So, I mean, how it's all transpired, I have zero idea, but it's actually see whether or not the actual stream is working. I think it is. I like to think it is. But for some reason, previous stream has cut out. Don't ask me why. Oh, we were actually working on there as well. So, I'll grab that actual link and actually post that into Twitter, because I actually still had the previous tweet originally still actually open. So I do believe with that we actually are good to go. We certainly are. Right, so hopefully let's actually begin chapter 99, which actually is called Endless Calamity Part 5. Also, I'm streaming on different platforms this time around. I'm actually normally streaming on Twitch, but for some reason today I was like, you know what, YouTube? Seems like a good idea. So I actually did this today on YouTube. Anyway, all events are consolidating, there we are, to this man. Good old Toru. The swag boy himself. Rock humans, what they are is... Rock humans, females, are visually indistinguishable from human Homo sapien women. Do I see a reference there? I do. I see two. It is possible for human males to inseminate and reproduce with rock human women, but there are no examples of the opposite. There is Enya from Part 3. If I'm not mistaken, that's also Hermes from Part 6. If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong. No, I'm right. I was gonna say, I could have sworn. I swear that's Hermes. Rock human mothers give birth in the spring and summer seasons, and they carry the fetus for 6 months. However, they rarely, if ever, have affection for or parental relationship with the child. Soon after the mothers give birth, they bring their child with them deep into the forest. They then look for the roots of a dead tree, place the child there, and leave, all without wrapping the child in a cloth or a fur or such a thing. That is the one and only show of love and motherhood to their child. If left alone, the child will not be able to get nutrition before that. If it is found by another animal, it will be killed in moments. But what approaches this child first, at the base of the dead tree in the forest, is insects. A newborn rock human child has an average body length of 28 millimeters and a weight of 15 grams. There are carnivores among the insects that approach the child. In short order, Asian giant hornets and Japanese yellow hornets will come after the child. Ohayou gozaimasu. Genki desu ka? The fierce and aggressive hornets will attack with their stingers and mandibles in an attempt to tear the child to pieces, but the rock human child knows that by instinct. In fact, they desire it. Bro, we're getting a history lesson this week. As if to cling to a mother's breast and her maternity, as if seeking love, they slip their way just past the extending stinger and reach out their hands. Then it's make or break dodging the mandibles. Not knowing what to do with the child clinging onto its blind spot, the wasp is left with no choice but to return to its hive. The rock human child knows of this instinctively as well. It also knows that wasps use pheromones to gather comrades and create wasp societies. This is science at like what, 9 p.m. at night in England? God, it's like 9 p.m. over here. Jojo, Araki. I need to ease into science, not be bro. Here's some science. During its flight, clinging to the wasp, the surface of the rock human child's body immediately begins to harden like stone, and with the wind pressure, just half of the body turns to stone. When the wasp returns to the comrades, and its hive, there will no longer be any others that will bite the child apart with their mandibles or sting it with their stingers. The child releases its arms and legs from the soldier wasp and rolls its body around inside the hive until it finds the queen, the mother among mothers. The child reaches its hands out and searches out a soft portion of the surface of the queen's body, and clinging, biting, and crawling takes over her body, while it is still half alive. What? This is how the rock human child finds a warm, safe place to sleep and obtains ample nutrients. It then spends 17 years inside the bodies of multiple generations of queens. Then, while fixedly inside the society of the hive, learns on its own about the laws of nature, the flow of time, the concept of numbers, and the ways to live within a structure, called a group. It dreams and waits impatiently for 17 years to go by, when it will abruptly grow in stature, kill the wasps, and venture into the outside world. Oh shit. Hello. Plot development. Character development possibly also. Toru. Life first came about 4 billion years ago. The control towers of the life called neurons are cells that bonded and evolved based on the element carbon. At the same time, life cells that bond from silicon were born, and while they were only few in numbers and percentage of living cells, the silicon-based cells existed alongside the carbon-type organisms, as if hiding next to them. The creatures whose bodies that are formed by those cells are rock organisms. Why did a creator give life to these two paths? Most likely, rather than some kind of opposing relationship like a shadow for a light, or a positive and a negative, it was the role of a fallback. Insurance for in case the existence of life itself failed. If the first path of carbon-based life came to an end, it was a second path. That is the role of the rock humans. Serve. Rock humans' actions are fundamentally independent, and they have no families. But sometimes, if it's to their advantage, they will form groups and slip into human Homo sapien societies. But this is nothing beyond a give or take relationship. There is no love or friendship between them. Rock humans have a fascination with ground, rock, and stone. Well, there you go. There you go. See blessings from the earth as the true benefits, and make special places that give rock humans special power as true homes. Consequently, Bearing in mind human Homo sapiens' ecological behavior to spread and migrate across the continents, and continuing to migrate to this day, there is no chance of forming a relationship of mutual recognition between them and rock humans, nor any chance that they assimilate the Devil's Palm and the ground of Moria. Well, this is a lot to take in, bro. This is a lot to take in. I mean, huh? Bruh? Okay, so there's our boy. There's our part 3 boyo. And also, there's our good... Well, I mean, you can't see anything, but you know, you can tell from my expression, there's also our boyos as well. Our part 7 boyos. I believe also, a character that we longed since wanted to come back actually has come back as well. Well, at least now I actually have a whole entire history lesson on rock humans, and possibly now it might also then change how we might actually perceive previous parts as well. Well, I mean, I guess part 7 more than anything. My deepest sympathies. I'm really sorry, Raikun. My condolences. Your father was a very good man. He was so good to us. I'd like to offer condolences to your mother as well. Raikun, where might I find her? In the inner room. She's resting right now. Is she feeling unwell? I see. But there's really nothing to worry about, Raikun. If there's any trouble, please talk to us any time. We'll be of any help we can. Honestly, feel free to talk to us about anything that includes money. Speaking of which, you get parking stubs here, don't you? They do give them, don't they? You would think it would be free, but huh? Oh. At the reception, is it? Woo! Norisuke-san. Right. I'm so sorry. Are you alright? Norisuke-san. About my father's pear orchard. The pears my father grew in his orchard were really well raised, but then insects messed them up. No one believed me, but it was those insects' fault. Insects? I saw with my own eyes. Right, stop. Your father tree was a great plant appraiser. He had a discerning eye whenever it came to farm produce. God, this chapter is just constantly just steamrolling different, like... just like your brain just kind of like, bruh, give me 5 seconds, Jesus. It's just like, it's one revelation after another. I'm like, give me 5 minutes here, bro. Had the whole entire rock human history lesson just now. I need at least like 2 minutes just to kind of, you know, ease into more, but... Here we go, I guess. If there was some insects or disease, he would have noticed, wouldn't he? It's because I said I saw one. Then my father went out during a typhoon to check for that in the orchard. Come now, that's enough. Everyone checked. I even checked for insects myself. There was nothing there. Isn't that right? What happened to your father was an accident. It was all nothing but purely an accident. Understand? Normally, typhoons don't make landfall in Morio, but this year one did, and there was a landslide. So you mustn't blame yourself. That was a natural calamity. Oh, there's a calamity. Norisuke-san, the attendee, that person with the white hair. Are they an acquaintance of my father? I've never seen him before. No, I'm not sure who that is. I've never seen him before either. By the way, Rai, I think it's likely the pear orchard will be a challenge. I'm worried about your mother's health as well. But first, your duty is to do a good job carrying out your duties at this funeral. Yes, sir. It's the swag boy himself. Mamozuku Rai's like, oh shit, revelation. It's just, his brain just kind of went, boof. That swag boy, I know him. He's just vibing. He's just vibing. He's vibing now. He's just, he doesn't care. It couldn't be. The New Rocket branch is, yes, it's doing just fine. The time for the harvest is nearly here. In other words, you haven't obtained the New Rocket just yet, have you? No, that's not quite accurate. Depending on one's perspective, this boy just throwing perspectives now. It's like, yeah, you could be right, but shut up. Oh, I love JoJo. I wonder how you'll react to hearing it. The new Rocket is moving from where it is now to where I am. The flow is carrying it. It is not in a flow where you can obtain it. The flow you see is that you will get up from that chair. It is certain that you will stand up to pursue me. I am wonder of you, and the flow is always a calamity. Josuke, it's there, behind you. Oh shit. It's the same attack as before. Here it comes. Josuke. He's vibing too much though, it's the problem. Josuke's vibing too much to actually be attacked, to actually be hurt at all. What? I stand corrected. Ah! What is that? What in the world? The wounds from before. Don't move, Josuke. It's poison. If you're stabbed and try to escape upwards, you'll cough up asbestos. Don't move. Oh, you know. This thing, I don't believe it. This rock insect. Oh, it all comes full circle. By full circle, I mean literally, it's a whole entire sphere. It's gone all around now. It's gone all around. This is like, it's set up for the century essentially. Guys, this chapter's just, Araki was just like, bruh. he's on Fujimoto levels of like Revelation Central. God damn, I said this from Chainsaw Man. But it's not very strong poison. I don't think there's much point in explaining, but to be precise, it's not being stabbed and escaping upwards. It's being stabbed and stretching out your limbs. Oh. If you try to escape or extend your joints, every hole in your body will spew out asbestos. Asbestos actually also is very poisonous anyway, if inhaled. If I remember correctly. Dee-da-da-da is a hunter of mountainous regions. It hunts and eats rabbits and birds from the ground, and those tend to jump to escape, don't they? When plants, branches, and fruit that are injured stretch out, they spew asbestos. They may appear to be diseased. Omizuku Rai, I remember a time when I passed by you some time ago. That pear orchard was quite a good land since long ago. Oh, reminiscing about old times brings tears to reminiscing about old times brings tears to my eyes. Back then, your father was simply caught in the flow of calamity, wonder of you, and so he died in a landslide. That's all there is to it. There is nothing at all you have permission to possess, be it a pear orchard or a single new Rocket. Josuke, it's climbed up. It's melted into the surface of the desk. The flow does not change. And there we go. Oh! Oh, fuck. I did not want to end today on a chapter of JoJo that makes my brain melt, but here we are. It is hot in my room as well. God. That's what I'm thinking. I was like, oh, this is going to be a simple fight, or a simple, like, a vibe check or something like that. But no, boy comes out, like, you know other universes, you know anything about JoJo? Well, shit, boy, you don't. I'm like, well, alrighty then, fam. I'm out of it. God. Jesus. So he basically set this all up to actually just be part 8, be like, by the way, previous parts, you don't know shit. And I'm like, I mean, I didn't know anyway, but here we are. God, that just changes everything now. What do you, what, bruh. All I could just say is just bruh. I mean, if he's trying to hint that there's more characters that were rock humans, it explains precisely why they're the way they are. Because I always kind of said in part 7 that Johnny kind of always exhibited like a very kind of like, he was mildly sociopathic in a way. He wasn't sociopathic to the point of no return. He wasn't that level, but he always kind of he had a disregard towards the end of like anyone and everyone essentially. He didn't really care who it was. They got in his way, they're out essentially. And he always kind of wondered. He always kind of attributed it to his entire like life essentially. That's the reason to why he's the way he is. But if Araki's hinting at more things to actually to be precise about how the rock humans kind of don't really have a level of compassion that other people do in Free have, it's more of a kind of like a gain relationship instead of like a kind of loving relationship. It does in Free make sense. That explains truly one of the mysteries behind Johnny's character in a way, if that's what he's hinting towards essentially. Again, it dawned on me as I was reading it. So I was kind of like, could that be an explanation to why? Because then it changes the perception of the relationships you actually have in Very Scene. It then changes a lot of actually how you saw previous parts, because essentially seeing Enya in the opening chapter and in Hermes as well, stuff like that, it changes how you then see what has been transpiring in the entirety of JoJo essentially. You don't know anything anymore. Everything you've actually kind of known is basically just gone out the window. You thought you knew, but now you don't. You're just stuck in a perpetual loop of like, okay, so I thought I knew what was happening here, but now I don't. And it's very interesting. It's very interesting because then it kind of does in Fury also then explain a lot. But then again, I don't know. The whole thing with Johnny's still a mystery though. That's the thing, because again, the last little bit does have it has Gyro, it has Johnny, it has my brain's leaving me. Oh god, I need to quickly Google character's name. My brain's leaving me. It's been so long since I actually read part 7 at this point. Sandman, that's it. It had Sandman as well. So I'm kind of just sitting here going, okay, so if you're telling me that, essentially, if you have those characters in the frame, is that what you're trying to hint towards, essentially, Araki? That there's actually more to who they were than what we were led on to believe. So that then makes you wonder, what else don't you know about them? Because you thought you did know about them, but that you don't. You kind of don't. But then again, you don't really know much about any character in JoJo, really. Essentially, JoJo's always been one of those characters, you think you know the characters, but you don't. And also then get a bit of insight into the actual kind of like the mask itself, the stone mask, actually does in Free make more sense now. All these things are basically just kind of... Araki was just sleeping for like about a middle portion of this whole entire manga. That was kind of like, oh, this is going nowhere. But then clearly it was. The whole entire time. He was leading towards this whole entire revelation. And it actually doesn't work very well. It works to kind of make you just go, what the fuck is happening here? But not in the way that it kind of makes you just kind of like, how... Bruh, essentially. It's that kind of twist that you needed, essentially, that kind of like that revelation twist that kind of puts the entirety of JoJo in perspective, essentially. And I think part 8, as I said during the opening of the stream, I think part 8 is the catharsis of JoJo, essentially. Like how every single thing this part's actually done to this whole entire point isn't isn't typical of JoJo. This isn't a typical JoJo part. The fights themselves aren't technically, like, for the most part, since, like, I'd imagine after the whole Rock Human saga, no fight has been a normal JoJo fight. It's always been more to them, essentially. And I kind of imagine that's been on purpose. He wants to kind of create a catharsis in this, because we've always kind of seen, like, the JoJo fights to be like this pinnacle thing, the thing everything goes towards, essentially. Like, you know it's gonna happen at some point. You're like, bro, I've got to see where that's going towards, and then it happens. You're like, yeah, boy, that was fucking great. But part 8 is kind of like, bro, hold it there for a minute. It actually kind of looks at the whole psychological portion of this whole entire fight. Part of it did that as well, but more so in this part. And I kind of imagine it's to create a sense of catharsis. It's to kind of like, it's to just make a part that technically acts as like the middle ground between a JoJo part and something to revolutionize the entirety of JoJo itself, essentially. And I think this chapter actually kind of did infantry exhibit that in a way. It exhibits the whole entire idea of actually kind of evolving this whole entire like manga to somewhere that we haven't seen before. And it actually is done expectedly well. I mean, yeah, it then makes you kind of appreciate what you might otherwise have kind of not enjoyed for the middle part of this whole entire manga, because now it has meaning. Now you understand why it's there. It actually has always kind of led to that whole entire moment. So I actually do, in theory, appreciate this manga a lot more because of it. Because it was always kind of riding upon, like, being a pretty good part. But then now, he's kind of like, yeah, you don't know anything anymore, bro. It actually does him very damn well. It's one of those chapters that comes along once in a while. Like, it's one of those chapters that really damn works. It's like the revelation, and not to spoil it, but in Fire Punch, like when you find out what's really going on in Fire Punch, the same thing. It's that catharsis that you kind of get afterwards, and nothing actually means the exact same things you knew beforehand. The same thing applies here. Jojolion's got to the point that it's not a JoJo part anymore. It's like this. It's beyond a JoJo part. And it actually kind of makes me wonder what else he's gonna do now at this point. Like, there's still an overarching villain in this whole entire part. Essentially, it's more so that even the rock humans themselves aren't antagonists anymore, theoretically speaking, because they just don't exhibit the same things that we understand humans to exhibit, essentially. So you actually now understand them to just be ordinary people at this point. They're not like say Valentine. They're not like Civil War, the whole entire arc there. They're not like anyone like that, or Diego, or anyone like that. They're kind of like, it's outside the realms of what we know, but they're not antagonists. They're kind of just, they're ordinary people, they just don't do the same things that we do, essentially. And again, that kind of creates an interesting kind of dynamic that you don't see very often, because again, it's not like they're really, when you think about it, there hasn't really been an antagonist in Part 8. Like, there's not really any minor ones either, essentially. They're kind of just, as I said, previous chapters, they're kind of all fighting for their own cause, essentially. But again, that's a very typical thing to do. If you want to deconstruct the whole entire villain, you give the villain like this humanized like concept that actually can make him go, I'm fighting for this reason, I believe I'm right, and actually then makes you kind of question whether or not you actually hate the dude. Valentine kind of did that, but still there's a bit more going on there. And then now with this part, it's like there's no antagonist, there's just people fighting for what they're fighting for, essentially. And it makes you kind of think to yourself, okay, so then who do I kind of side with? Because again, it's like anyone could in theory just flip the switch and actually turn to the antagonist in the part, because you understand why they're fighting. And now you understand more about the rock humans, actually how they work. It then changes how you see them, essentially. Now you just don't see them as, you don't see them as antagonists or minor antagonists. You kind of see them just as people fighting, essentially. It's really well done. It's a really well done twist on the whole entire thing. It's not, there's just not anything in this part that kind of exhibits a normal JoJo part. It felt like it for a long while. It's actually just kind of just pulled the rug underneath your feet, essentially. It actually kind of make you go, no, bro, that ain't it. And it just ain't it. I'm actually glad this actual whole entire chapter and this whole entire arc actually hasn't very transpired, because it kind of rekindled my faith in the entirety of like what this part's actually gonna do. I now view this whole entire part very differently to what I did originally. It's not a JoJo part. It's a catharsis part, essentially. It's kind of like part 6 in a way. towards the end of part 6. Part 6 kind of was a JoJo part up to the very end, and it kind of became a catharsis part. I think this actually exists as being the catharsis part, essentially. So yeah, I mean, man, that was good. That was fucking great. That was a really good chapter. I have no idea what to think anymore. It explains a lot more about characters I didn't think I need to know more about, but now I do. So if he's hinting at possibly more about Johnny and Gyro and also Sandman as well, and also then I believe Kyo and also Enya and also possibly everyone else, it does work. It works really damn well to actually kind of give you this insight that you didn't know beforehand. And also I believe I saw the Speedwagon Foundation as well, so that was also a name drop there as well. So who knows what's going to happen in 100 now. 100 is going to be like a chapter to actually kind of like watch out for, because it's going to be a chapter. Like this is the prelude to like what's going to happen, so I can't wait to actually see what they do next. So yeah, that'll probably do it for today. I can't wait now. I have to wait a month to actually find out what happens next. I'm actually like, bruh, I need to find out what happens now. But you actually have enjoyed this whole entire stream as a whole on YouTube and doing for a leave a like, because indeed it's been quiet. But if you have then enjoyed this whole entire stream as a whole on YouTube and doing for a leave a sub, because indeed it's been quiet. But if you have then enjoyed this whole entire stream as a whole on YouTube and doing free, follow me on Twitter or join Discord as well, because both do help me quite a lot, and both then tell you when your streams go live and any other streams I do as well. But next time with chapter 100 of Jojolion. See you guys later. Bye for now.